Hey guys, in this tutorial, we're going to be looking at how you can take one image and make it an animated image so that it's looping. So whether that's clouds moving across the sky, whether that's rain falling, snow falling, whatever it may be. So I've started off, you can see with my cloud here. So I've just drawn this. I've used the brush tool to draw the shape. I used the fill bucket to fill it, and I could smooth it if I needed to here at the bottom of my toolbar to make it look a little bit nicer. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a symbol. So I'm going to hit F8. I'm going to call this cloud. And now it's going to be in my library so that I can use multiple instances of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out multiple instances of the cloud. And it just kind of depends on how many clouds you want, where you want them positioned. You can use the free transform tool to change them so that they are different sizes. Okay. All right, so maybe that's what we want our clouds to look like. And so now what we want to do is we want to make this one animated movement that can loop. So now what we're going to do is we're going to click on frame 1 so that all of these clouds are selected. We're going to hit F8 and we're going to call this moving clouds. So that way we know that this is actually the one that has the movement. Make sure it's a graphic, say okay. And now I'm going to double click on it to go into the editing window, because what I want to do is I want to just be able to sit this here and have it move, or I can move it here as well. But again, double click on it. So now you're seeing each of those symbols. Right click on those symbols and choose distribute to layers. And that's going to distribute each of them on their own layer. Delete the layer that's empty. You can see here's an empty circle. Delete that because it's no longer needed, and you can rename the clouds if you want to. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these clouds. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to move them to the left side of the screen, off of the stage. I'm going to go to Insert, Motion Tween, and I'm going to go to the very end of that motion tween. I'm going to drag the clouds to the other side of the stage with those last frames selected. And now you can see I've got that movement, but they're moving pretty fast. So I'm going to select all of them, and then I'm going to drag them down. Now, normally you can select all of them and adjust them all at once, but I've been having trouble with this today. So you may have to do this individually. All right, now we hit enter. Now you can see they're moving a little bit slower. So now when I go back to scene 1, I click on scene 1 and I hit enter. I'm not seeing anything, but that's because there's no movement up here. I only have frame 1. So if I come out to frame 40 and hit F5, I can see those clouds are moving. Okay, now if I go ahead and do Control Enter, you can see that it's just going to repeat. Now, why is there that blank area where there is no clouds? Well, that's because we have this ending at frame 40. So maybe instead we have it end here at frame 20, I think this is 8. We could select those frames, remove those frames, do a Control Enter, and you can see it repeat. If you're watching your animation and you're thinking, well, I need it to repeat faster because I've got more movement, you could also add another layer, go in and add the moving clouds to that layer. And now you can see I've got 2 patches of clouds. So if I come down to frame 80 and hit F5, wow, I can even come further. Let's go to 110 and hit F5. Okay, I've got this continuous movement of these clouds moving, and it looks like really I could stop here at frame 86. So let me do that. I'm going to select these and I'm going to remove the frames, Control Enter. And so now you can see that those are moving. And again, if it looks too jerky as you're doing your animation, you can add more layers and continue to add more patches. So add another layer. Drag that on. There's another patch. Bring it out to 120. And now you can see how that's continuing. Now, actually, it looks like it's kind of jumping back here. So what you could do is you could actually go in and animate this. So let's say that this second one doesn't start until a little bit later. So maybe it's going to start, oh, that's my third one. It's going to start here. And then maybe my third one, it's going to start here. And remember, I'm just clicking and dragging to move these around. Okay, and so now you can see that one goes on, and then the next goes on, and then the next goes on, and you can just repeat that cycle. Let's actually delete that layer 3, and let's see how that looks. And so you can see that looks a little bit more fluid. So let's do a Control-Enter. Oh yeah, that looks way more fluid. So that's looking really nice there. So just to reiterate, the way that I got that is I started the second set of clouds on frame 25, which is basically where the first set of clouds started to have nothing so that these could follow. And again, I just hit F6 there or click and drag it down. All right, so that is moving clouds. Now, again, if it's still going too fast, remember to click anywhere on the stage and in the properties panel, change the frame rate to something like maybe 12. And now you can see that those are moving much slower. All right, so that is moving clouds. Now, if we want to do snow, so let me delete this, it's the same idea. So let's just say for time's sake, we're going to use a white circle and a white outline. And I'm going to set the background to black so that we can see it. So this would be for snow or rain. I would draw out a circle, same idea. I would hit F8, same idea, call it Snowflake graphic. And then once again, bring on multiples of those. And again, it's up to you how many you want to bring on. Then once again, you can use the free transform tool. When things are this small, it's a good idea to zoom in. And I can make ones that are smaller, and I can make ones that are bigger. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on layer 1. I'm going to hit F8, and I'm going to call this Falling Flakes. And I'm going to say, okay. I double click to go inside of them. I right click and I distribute to layers. I delete layer 1. I select all of the frames. I insert the motion tween. I come to the end of all of those tweens. You have to be careful about how you're clicking here, making sure you're getting that one frame. Okay, and then I can move them down. And up, one important thing to do is to hold shift while you're moving down to make sure that they're straight. And then once again, you can pull them out for how long you want. Now with snowflakes though, they don't all fall at the same time. So you probably want them to fall at different times. So you could decide, okay, this one's a little further up. If you use the double-headed arrow to drag it in, now it's starting later. Or this one here is a little bit further up. Let's drag it in and let's have it start a little bit later. And so we can continue that process. And again, this is the same idea for rain, for snow, whatever it is that you may be working on. Now, when you hit enter, you can see how those start later. And so once again, if I get out of this, I set this up. Let's hit F5 here, Control Enter. We can see those little flakes falling. And again, you either need to make more flakes to continue the process, or you can add more. So we could add another layer. We could have it start at, let's say, frame 25 maybe. So let's do an F6 here. And then maybe we're going to have more come on. So that way you have more as they start to pop up. And we really need to go back into the symbol and have those move a little bit further down, or extend this out to 60 F5 so that it's actually going further down. Control Enter. And now you can see that those are falling and they just continue in one loop. All right, so I'm running out of time and I will see you next time.